Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. Today it's a little bit of a different day. I don't know how to proceed with it because this, for me, it's a completely new thing that I've been doing, and I am excited, and at the same time, I'm a little bit shy, I guess. At least I don't know the right word to express what I'm feeling right now. I guess for me, it will be excitement. Anyway, not to prolong it too well, first things first, I guess I should say that, well, I made a thing. One of my dreams as a kid and up until now was to be able and make or build my own fountain pens. I think this year I kind of achieved to do that. I'll show what I've been building and what I've been doing, and the reason of why I've been in this hiatus that I've been for, since the beginning of the year. Basically, I wanted to learn how to, first of all, work with resin. So this way I can build my own blanks. And second, I wanted to be able to learn on how to, work with the blanks and basically build my own bespoke fountain pen. Now, the funny thing is that basically my background has nothing to do with what I've been doing this year. This is a completely new thing that I dived into that I actually love doing. It's been a lot of frustration. It's been a lot of learning. A pretty large learning curve plus investment in tools and all that stuff. And that's pretty much where my budget is been going into. But anyway, yeah, I made a thing. I finally reached to the point where I can build my own fundamentals, and that for me it's extremely exciting. Obviously, I don't have the experience of other uh, people that have been doing this for a very long time, but this for me it's a journey that I hope that I will continue for as long as I'm around, and that I really, really enjoy. With that said, let me show what I've been doing. Now, what I have in front of you right here, it's a case. This case, usually it's meant to be used with markers. However, this seems to be the perfect fit for the fountain pens that I've been building. And as such, without further ado, even though I kind of hate those words, let me present to you the fountain pens that I've been building for the past couple of months, pretty much since the beginning of this year. Actually, since December last year, that's pretty much when I started buying the tools and starting to play with the resin. And what you have in front of you, it's pretty much 15 fountain pens that I started building them in January. And yeah, I'm excited. First of all, this was my first fountain pen that I built, literally. And as such, the colors and the resins are not that good. However, you can sort of see the progression of my skill with working with resin and building my blanks. Now, where do I begin? So, the fountain pens, these blanks are actually built around the Yovo nibs and obviously the international converter that fits these nib units. So basically everything that I've been building is built around this. Now going a little bit into the design of the fountain pen and why I choose to build this. I try to think about it something around, I'm my own client. I thought, thinking that if I build a fountain pen, I want to build a fountain pen that I like. If I build something that I don't like, then there's no point in making it. And as such, I kind of sat around and I decided, what would I like in a fountain pen? For those of you that have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I like simplicity. And I don't care much about clips. I don't care much about any decoration. And I really like simplicity. And I also like, one of my favorite fountain pens are the desk fountain pens or feather fountain pens. And as such, I end up with this design. Think about it as a... Hold on a second. Think about this, basically. This is a desk fountain pen. In this case, this is a Sheaffer. I forgot what version, but this is a Touchdown. And these are one of my favorite fountain pens. I was kind of thinking of this when I designed this, but then I realized that in order to make this, I will need to use a lot of resin. And at the same time, if I'm planning to sell this in the future, maybe they're too long. And as such, basically, I kind of end up with this design where it tapers down and then it kind of flat ends. So basically, I don't have that continuation. And the other thing that I like is, this pen is inked. And the other thing that I like, I prefer a longer section. And at the same time, I'm not the kind of person that cares that much about how many times you turn the cap. Every time I think about a twist cap fountain pen, it's something that you have to take your time and basically open it. If I need something quick, I would rather use something like a Pilot, capless name didn't come to my mind, right? That's a quick fountain pen if I need something on the go. So when I think of twist cap fountain pens, I don't really think about quickness. With that said, I can definitely design the fountain pen to make the threads shorter. However, that's not something that I like and enjoy. Anyway, I'm kind of starting rambling and I'm trying not to make this video too long, and I apologize if it's gonna be too long. So yeah, that was the thinking behind the design of the pen. Now, I never worked with resin, so for me was that in itself was a complete new learning experience that I actually enjoyed. And as you'll see the progression, I end up with something that I like, and the resins that I'm building right now that I'm not able to show them here right now are getting better and better. Well, at least in my opinion. So again, where do I begin? Yeah, so basically these are the first waves. These two, basically they kind of came in 4 pairs. The way I worked at the beginning, I was using square blanks, and basically the blanks were yay high. And in order to make a complete fountain pen, I had to use two blanks. One for the barrel, one for the cap and section. That turned out to be very wasteful because if you look at the blanks, when you do the section tends to be very small compared with the actual pen, especially the barrel. So I didn't like that waste. And past this, on the other side, I moved on from square blanks to actual cylindrical blanks, which I can make them in different sizes, like 15 millimeters, 20 millimeters, and 22 millimeters, depending on the size of the fountain pen I would like to make. And I also basically kind of built my own, molds. But that's an entire different discussion that I guess I'm not gonna get into. So anyway, going back to the fountain pens, so these were a pair of 4. One of them, unfortunately, That was the first attempt. Kind of went sideways, and that one got destroyed. However, the other three, this one specifically was the second one, and I had an issue with the cap. So the cap on this one is not very good. This will not be for sale. This is not something that I would sell. However, I will definitely make a cap for it, and I will salvage it and at least offer it as a gift sometime in the future if needed. With the bads aside, I had success with basically another one from the original pens, and I kept that one as for me. I'll probably keep this one as well, but I'm just showing it here so I can show the progression. Now then, there was the second wave, which basically are these three. Again, I kept one of them. My plan is that as I build fountain pens, every time I'm gonna create a new batch or a new wave of pens or blanks. I'm gonna keep at least one of them in my collection, which kind of like that idea. This was the second wave. The design got a little bit better. I have a little bit of color in there. I learned how to use basically the resin and try and wait a little bit longer, so this way I can get some nice patterns in them. These pens are actually pretty nice, pretty decent. I tried different design ideas and I try to make them post, and they do post some of them. I had to work on this design. However, later on and in my final design, everything works properly, everything posts, and everything will be great. And the section, I tried different basically thread sizes. This was at the beginning. Unfortunately, I had some misfortunes, and the dies and tabs did not work as they were intended. And also, it was pretty much the beginning for me and learning how to use them. However, with the exception of the first one, every single one of them, even though they have small defects, they are 100% sure working and able to hold a nib and a cartridge or converter inside of them. And then it was the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave. All of them are pretty much the same. I played a little bit with the sizes, trying to figure out exactly what I want. And all these were actually done with a resin that it's Canadian. It's something local that for me was more accessible, and at the same time a little bit more on the cheaper side, but still good quality. Now the resin that I've been using was their brand name is Magic Resin. As I said, it's Canadian based, and no sponsorship. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just explaining and showing you basically the resin that I use, so trying to be as transparent as possible. And I tried all their version of resin, from the 2-inch deep pour to the 4-inch deep pour, and the other one that basically cures within 3 days or something like that, like fully cured, and trying to figure out what resin I like to work with. And I like the deep pour ones because they allow me to work and create blanks without actually needing a pressure pot. However, as I was working with this and realizing that because of the curing time, the colors tend to blend, I started to think that I need to start using a pressure pot. These were the last ones that I've done without this and this, that I've done without a pressure pot. And as such, because the trick was I had to let the resin sit and then pour it in the blanks, in the molds, about 4 to 5 hours in order for the resin to start to solidify, not solidify, but get a little bit more thick. So this way the color sits better in place. And that's why Excuse me. And that's why I had better results with the colors. But unfortunately, I started to have small bubbles and imperfections. Not something that it's extremely visible. I've showed the pens to a lot of people, and a lot of them didn't even notice those small imperfections until I actually pointed them out. But anyway, that's the journey. No pressure pot. And I really like every single one of them, and I really enjoy them. And just to demonstrate, Yovonib, international cartridge, perfect fit, nicely done. Well, nicely done for me. Again, obviously I'm extremely biased by this since I made them and I'm excited, and I'm happy about it, but I perfectly understand if people do not like this. Anyway, so that was the first wave that I've been working with, and then I started working with the resin that it's curing a little bit faster, and as such I end up with the other waves. And this was even more exciting because I'm starting to have nice blending colors and getting some nice effects on the fountain pens, and I was still playing with the sizes. As you can see, some of them are shorter, some of them are longer, because I was still trying to figure out what I want to do and what's the final size. On this wave I also slightly, let me grab another one from here, just come on, okay, good. I started working a little bit different with the threads, experimenting with that, and again experimenting with the size, and playing around with the section a little bit to see what I like the most. I started to slightly make that section a little bit longer, not very visible on this one. Let's see, this one maybe. But ever so slightly longer, and I still didn't like it as much. So while I was playing with the sizes, and I was also playing with the section sizes, I end up with, I believe this might be the one, a longer section. The idea was to clear that step up, which it is quite, well, in your face. However, the idea was to clear that and your finger never to be there. And if by any chance you use it for drawing, when you hold it from here, you have a nice solid grip, pretty much like you would have on one of the dip pens if you look at them. Hold on, let me go get one. Like this one. So that was the idea, because usually when I draw and when I write, I like to hold them maybe from here, and I have this kind of a chunky thing, and that was the idea behind it as well. And as you can see, the section kind of follows the same curvature of the nib holder. So basically this and this were the inspiration for me, and the idea that well, these shapes usually for me are very comfortable for writing and drawing, and as such this why I went with this design. And I also improved the way the font, the way the pen posts, and it took me a while to get the right shape, but eventually I got there. It probably is hard to see from the video, but the way it ends here, it's a little bit more abrupt, while this one is a little bit more graduate, and this allows for the pen to post much nicer. Anyway, I know I'm a little bit all over the place. It's just I'm excited, and at the same time I don't know what to say because again, this is completely a first for me, and like I mentioned, this is a a journey. This is the beginning of a journey that I could see myself working, doing pretty much for as long I'll be around. I did included the fountain pen in one of my one or two of my previous videos. I don't know if anybody catch them up. Basically, this is the final design of the fountain pen. This final length for the cap, for the barrel, the way it meets and the way it's shaped and polished. I've been using this fountain pen for a couple of weeks now. This is definitely one of my favorites. And this, I have it paired with an Omniflex nib. And I believe I have diamine ink in it right now. But yeah, and as you can see, I did change the thread design of the section. I believe I have a 1.0 versus the 1.5 that I had before. Much neater. Actually, this is not the final design of the section because the threads, I actually made them longer on the final design, as I will show. The idea is that I want these threads to go past this joint here. Basically, I wanted to go into the section a little bit more, somewhere around here. So this way you don't have a point of failure if by any chance you drop it, and that could create stress in that place. And at the same time, basically, as the overlap cap over the barrel and the barrel over the section, that creates a strong joint. And because of the overlap, if by any chance you drop it, it won't crack, hopefully, in that place. I'll be honest with you, I did a couple of drop tests, accidental drop tests. And fortunately, they survived. I believe, no, not this one. This one. It fell out of my hand from how many stairs? 16 steps from the top of the staircase, 16 steps down, and I cringed a little bit as he was just tumbling down the stairs, and it survived. I think he had a little bit of a bump because, well, plastic, and you could dent it easily, but I was able to polish it out, and it's more or less flawless right now. Anyway, again, I'm rambling. So I'm not sure on what to focus. I don't know what to explain other than I made a thing. I started to make fountain pens. I really enjoyed this. These here are the actual final designs, and the other resins that I've been playing around with. I've been playing with something more semi-transparent, and I kind of like that, but one thing that I do have to still figure out is how to polish the pen inside. That might take me a little bit. I tried a few things, but I'm not 100% happy with what I have. So, what do you think so far? I mean, I know it's hard to have any opinions on the pen since you're not holding it, and at the same time, it's hard for me to focus on something specific since I'm not sure what questions you might have. So I think I'm gonna stop here on presenting, and I'm just gonna talk about the fountain pen and things to consider, and explain the design elements that I've been choosing and why. So I like the idea of having the barrel and the cap pretty much as one unit, as you can see. I like the simplicity of it, and I do like this. Actually, I found myself using the pen as a pointer when I'm presenting things or when I'm explaining things at work, believe it or not. And it posts beautifully. It makes it as long as you want if you need to, and even if you don't, even if you don't post it, it has a lot of length. Balance, it's actually pretty good as well. It's pretty much in the middle, and even when it's posted, the balance, it's actually quite good as well. Trying to find, okay, pretty much like that. So I think I created a pretty good balance in the pen. And just to show you how long that section is, give me a second. Looking at the famous or infamous fountain pen that I know a lot of people like and hate at the same time because of that step up, just to give you an idea how long that section is and how thick that section is compared with the Pilot fountain pen. So plenty of real estate. I doubt anybody will have any issues with this step up. I actually kind of like it because the way it is kind of a gradual step up. So my finger, if anywhere gets close there, it sits nicely. Again, I'm really biased because I built this fountain for me, but I want to highlight these things so you know about them and you think about them, and yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is the perfect section for me. And again, I love that shape because of this shape. That's pretty much what I was going for. And I'm planning to do in the future a number 8 nib using the JoWo number 8 nib units. And obviously it will be a little bit thicker and most probably will go as close as this is, if not maybe a slightly bigger. We'll see. I'm still working on that design. Might take me a couple of months until I come up with something final like I did here. And the other idea was to be long enough to use it unposted and again have a great balance as much as possible. And at the same time, as I will show in one of these ones, the idea was to have this section threads for the section that goes inside the barrel 1 to go again longer than that in order to overlap and make sure we don't have a weak joint, but at the same time to give you the possibility to actually eyedrop this if you really want to. Obviously, I do recommend to use silicone if by any chance you're interested in that, and you'll do me the pleasure of supporting me in this journey that I am going. And yeah, things to note. Obviously, the other thing is you'll see that while there's a little bit of ink between the nib unit and the section inside there, you're able to see that because this resin, or at least the way I choose to make this pattern, is slightly translucent. As you probably can see, you can sort of see the converter inside, and that's why you see the ink. Unfortunately, the thing with the JoWo nib units, they do not come with an O-ring, and no matter how tight you make that, ink will still seep through no matter what. Right now, I'm working to work with a different resin. I do like the magic resin, and but I'm trying to work with something else that it's a little bit more friendly on a lot of things. When I get to it, I'll explain why I choose to go with that. But right now, I'm just experimenting with a new resin. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stay with magic resin for now. However, they do the resin. It's great. What I discovered with this resin is that the fast curing resin that they have has a slight hint resin smell to them. So whenever I'll present these as separate videos, like again, I'll go into that later, but whenever I'll present these pens, I will explain and I will tell what resin I used and if there is any resin smell. You know, depending on the resin that you have, sometimes there is that specific resin smell, and some of them they do have it, unfortunately. And I know that a lot of people can be sensitive to that, and I'll try and be as fully transparent as I can so you know. Anyway, so I'm blabbering. I apologize. So this will be the final design basically, and that's how I decided to do basically the part where the cap and the barrel meet. And as you can see, I decided to round them up a little bit more, so to make them as comfortable as possible. Rounded ends, no actual finials, and you can see where I can how long I actually go with the drill inside and how deep that is. Same for the cap. Hopefully the camera can pick up that line in there. And again, that section, that will be the same length as the other fountain pen that I've shown. And this is how long the actual threads will be on my final design. And again, goes slightly past that joint just to make sure there are not going to be any issues with this breaking if you drop it. And again, all of them so far are built around the JOWO nibs. All of them are working perfect. I test them. And one thing to know though, I am building these sessions around this specific converter. So this will fit perfectly. It has a little bit of wiggle, but it's perfectly fit in there and nicely snug. You'll never have any issues with this coming off no matter what. And at the same time, the noise that you hear is not the converter hitting the pen, it's just the converter, you know, the noise coming from basically this. So there's no actual rattling other than the actual converter making its own noises. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I guess if you have any other questions, please do leave them in the comments below, and if there are not a lot of them, I'll try and answer them. But if a lot of people would have questions, I'll try and compile them, and maybe I'll come up with a new video answering those questions. I guess from the top of my head, what questions you might have. I guess the first thing will go price, right? For the price, I'll be honest, I have no idea what price to ask for, since I never done this, and I never really thought about it. I just jumped on it and did it basically, and then after that thinking, oh, how much should I charge for them? And then doing the math on the materials that I'm using, the time that I'm spending on building a fountain pen, and at the same time, well, the extra cost of the nibs and all that. Also looking at the market where I am right now, seeing how much the fountain pens they sell. They do sell from, let's say, $200 Canadians, not US, and up. I've seen them 200, 250 going for bespoke fountain pens. Now, I'm at the beginning. I don't plan to charge as much, especially with the resin that I'm using right now. However, if I go with the resin that I'm testing right now, prices probably will go a little bit higher. Anyway, not beating around the bush, how much I would like to charge for this, and let me know what you think. I'm definitely open for comments. So first of all, the first waves, the beginnings, which I will be very honest, as I mentioned, they do have some imperfections, even though they are fully functional, and I would love to see them getting a home and hopefully being useful for somebody that wants to use them. These I will sell them pretty much at half price. So I was thinking something around 100 Canadian dollars with the nib, and the only nibs that I have right now are fine and extra fine, and these are just gold. If by any chance I get to sell anything and I build some capital, basically, I can invest in more nibs and other things like that. The other nib that I have is the flex nib, but unfortunately this will have to be a little bit higher. So let's say $110 with this nib. Or if you don't want to use the nib and the converter, and you don't want me to send you those because you already have your own, I want to sell them for maybe, let's say, $80. And those will be basically all these, what you see in front of you. And those will be, well, with the exception of this one. I'll put it aside. So all this that you see in front of you, basically. And then basically kind of at the second wave where I'm still experimenting with things, I'm thinking maybe a little bit higher, somewhere around, let's say, 150 Canadian dollars with the nibs, or 160 if you like the elastic one. And without the nibs and converter, 140. And when it comes from the final design, for now, I was thinking to charge somewhere around 180 Canadian dollars with the nib, or 190 with the flex nib, and obviously 160 if you choose to have your own nib size. I'm well below market, and I think I'll stay there for a while. Again, I'm pretty much at the beginnings. I don't expect to charge as much as somebody that is being doing this and has more experience than I have. Anyway, the other thing that I was planning to do, and I guess this is for you, the subscribers that have been around me and been willing to subscribe to my channel, even though I don't ask anybody to do that. However, I do appreciate staying with me and watching my videos. I thank you kindly for that. And I guess if I don't sell anything, at least I can offer these as a thank you for you guys basically subscribing and supporting me in this fountain pen journey. So the idea is that I believe currently I'm sitting at 374 or 75 subscribers when I'm making this video. Whenever I hit 500, I'm planning to give away at least one fountain pen. It all depends on how many fountain pens I still have available, and if I even sell anything, and at the same time depends on what colors I have available. And yeah, I'll start probably with these, and I'll give away from these and then move on from the other ones as time goes by. So the idea is, first 500, I'm gonna give away 1 or 2 fountain pens with nib, complete with nib, if I ever get there. And then again, the next giveaway will be whenever I get to 1,000 subscribers. And again, then I'll probably do an actual 2 fountain pens. And again, that will depend on whenever I get there and what pens I have available, and so on and so forth. So, and I think this is kind of more exciting because it's more thematic with what I'm doing, and I mean, and with what you love as well. And hopefully you guys will enjoy this. So, yeah, I mean, again, this is something that I really like. I really enjoy. I'm extremely happy and excited about it. I apologize if this video ends up too long. I know I've been blabbering. It's just that I'm just excited. It's and it's hard for me to focus. I'm kind of everywhere. I'm trying to show everything and trying to explain everything at the same time, and probably making a mess out of it. And I do apologize about that. Please, if you have questions, opinions, critics, please do. I know, again, it's hard to critique something that you can hold, but at least, you know, hearing the idea that I have and what I'm doing, and getting an idea of what do you think of it. I know that not everybody will like this, probably very few will like this, but the first fountain pen that I wanted to build it to make sure that I like it first. And I know not everybody is me, and I respect that, and that's absolutely fine. But I'm curious if anybody else will like or even likes what you see in front of your eye right now, or even if at least it intrigues you in any way. Conclusions, I guess. I'm excited. I love what I'm doing. I didn't want to make a review out of it because to me sounds kind of weird to review my own fountain pen. That's why I'm posting it on a Wednesday when I usually have my workbench sessions whenever I have them. So this way is more of a presentation. I'm blabbering about my excitement and what I'm doing, and see if anybody is interested in anything like that. Obviously, giveaways for sure. 500, 1000, and then from there on we'll see how it will go. But at least once a year after I pass 1000 subscriber, I will definitely make and give away at least one of my fountain pens every year. And yeah. Oh, and I guess the other thing is I'm really enjoying doing this. I'm still in hiatus by the end of July, if I remember correctly. But because I'm kind of making my own fountain pens, it's been very hard for me to actually look at other fountain pens, because this is the excitement for me right now. And while I've seen a lot of nice fountain pens, I just don't have the heart to buy them. I'm actually more interested in buying tools or nib units to test with. I mean, for now it's just the Jowo. Hopefully then will be Jinhao, and we'll see from then if I ever figure out the thread patterns and proper taps and dies that I can use, and so I can actually connect those nib units to fountain pen. Anyway, I'm blabbering again. I apologize for this lengthy video. I apologize for being everywhere with this. It's just please understand my my excitement. I'll stop here. I really appreciate if you spent the time to watch this video and trying to understand what I'm trying to say here. I would kindly appreciate if you leave a comment with your opinions and what do you think, and if you would even be interested in something like this for the future, and something that I'm making. Ways to contact me if you really want to. If you go on the About page, you'll have a button saying contact me or contact or something like that. If you click on that, I think you have to go through a security check, like to make sure you're not a robot. And then it will give you my email address. Feel free to reach me out at that email address. Or I have links for Instagram. If you want to contact me via Instagram, and we can chat about it if you want to. Whatever you can contact me via, please give me 24 hours. I do have a full-time job. This is not something that I do as a job. This, for me, it's a passion. And speaking of, I'll probably be able to build maybe 2 to 4 pens per week. So basically what you're looking here, it's a couple of months of work. This is not something that I've done in a month or a week. This is progression over a couple of months. I keep on saying I'm ending it. I'm gonna end it right now. I appreciate it for checking out this video. Please do comment below. I'm curious to hear your opinions, and I'll try and answer them, and if there are a lot of them, I'll try and compile them and make another video and answer those questions. If just one or two, then I'll just reply there and then. Thank you, and I'll see you Sunday with the normal schedule and reviews of the fountain pens that I have but not make. Thank you kindly for joining me. I wish you a great day or night, whatever you are, and take care.